Welcome to On the Kitchen Table. This one is about cleaning the engine parts and dismantling the boiler, but really it should be called On the Kitchen Sink. In this clip you can see the twin Victoria is sat on the draining board, and it's very oily, quite dusty and dirty. I was thinking that it would be a good idea to take this into the shower, but this is an easier method. What I need first is some washing up liquid. Here it is. And now I'm pouring a good quantity of this stuff all over the engine. Don't worry, it doesn't do any harm to the engine or the baseboard. I'm pouring plenty of this stuff on because I need to degrease all the parts. And before adding the water to the mix, I brushed this washing up liquid into all the nooks and crannies using this paintbrush thing that's in the kitchen. I think it's for painting pastry with egg when you make pastries. I don't do pastries and I certainly don't make them. I left the washing up liquid all over the engine to dissolve the grease, and then I added water. The water from the kitchen tap is warm, it's not really hot. I thought that if the water was too hot it may damage the varnish on the baseboard. You can clearly see the principle here. Once again I'm using the pastry brush to thoroughly mix the washing up liquid with the water, after which I rinsed it all off under the tap. It took quite a while before the washing up liquid was washed away. The general idea is when the bubbles stop, the washing up liquid has gone, along with the grease and grime. I rotated the engine several times in the sink so I could get positive water pressure on most areas. And by repeating the process, I made sure that I got into every corner possible. It's getting there now. This is the final run under the tap to get rid of the washing up liquid residue. I thought it was also a very good time to clean some of the tarnished parts. Here I'm using a piece of Scotch-Brite on the guide bars for the crosshead. I also cleaned the connecting rods and any other metal parts that seemed to need a bit of attention. Then for the last time it was into the sink with it, and I'm using a cup full of water to wash away all the residue. This is one of a pair of cups that my daughter Charlotte had made. Once upon a time we had a plan where Charlotte was going to read out things on Charlotte's Steam Clinic. The website's still there, but we don't do the videos anymore because Charlotte is too busy. Time now to lift the engine out of the sink, tip it upside down to get rid of all the water and put it on the kitchen table. And as you can see, no sink units were damaged in the making of this video. Time now to clean the pump. That is also very greasy and dirty. I won't labour the point, suffice to say it was carried out in the same way as you've just seen with the engine. And after a final shake to remove most of the water, I put it on the draining board. This is a very well made engine, and it used to run perfectly before I sold it to the customer, who decided to use quite a lot of silicone rubber to seal the water chest. And now, after 3 dismantlings and cleanings, the valves in the water chest work fine. I had to do it 3 times because there were particles of silicone rubber in the system, and these particles kept holding the valves open. I think finally I got rid of it all. Now though, the problem is that the steam side of the pump doesn't work properly. I have a good idea why it doesn't work, and I'm going to make a short series showing the internals of the pump and how I fix this problem. In case you don't know what this is, it's a Southworth Engines duplex steam-powered water pump. Duplex means twin cylinder. The pump is made from stainless steel and gunmetal, so it's not going to rust. But if I left the engine to dry naturally, it may rust. So I'm giving it a real going over with quite a lot of kitchen towel. It's certainly looking a bit cleaner, although I can still see a line of old oil and general grime along each edge. And over time, this is quite solid. Incredibly carefully, I scraped it off with the point of a screwdriver. Then I used the screwdriver point to wipe it with the kitchen towel. If you run them, they get dirty and oily and grimy. I really was fighting the urge at this stage to remove the engine from the base and clean the base and engine completely separately. But with my point of the screwdriver followed by some kitchen towel method, it's not too bad. I have quite a few current projects, and I have a bit of a mental problem. If I overload, take on too many projects simultaneously, then I stall and things don't go well. Once I built a 7 1/4 inch gauge Sweet William locomotive chassis, and it was going fine. That is, until I needed to thread the exhaust holes in the cylinders. The problem was I didn't have a big enough drill to drill the holes the correct size, and when I bought one it wouldn't fit in my drill chuck. So I left the drill and the tap that I bought and the die that I bought on the bench at the side of the partly completed locomotive, and then 18 months later I sold it. Sometimes my brain doesn't work how I would like it to. I am, after all, a musician, not an engineer. This is a job I should have done when I first received the boiler. I'm simply tightening the bolts that hold the boiler bands onto the base. And here I'm slackening off the bolts again so I can move the boiler into the correct position. I'm giving the boiler barrel a bit of a clean using a piece of kitchen towel. I really do like this boiler very much indeed. That's why I bought the plant back off the customer. However, there are 1 or 2 things that I'm not happy with, and now I'm going to put them right. I was never happy with the physical size of the plant, as I mentioned in the last episode. Also, I didn't like the original water gauge, so I changed that. Also, I don't like where the pressure gauge sits. You cannot pull it vertically, it has to sit horizontally. I suppose it's quite useful if the boiler is in a boat so you can sail past and see what the working pressure is. It's really not practical to pull the pressure gauge into a vertical position. So I removed the siphon entirely from the turret, including this aluminium washer. I'm also removing the whistle and valve assembly because I do not want the whistle to be here. I'm going to use a larger whistle and valve assembly located on the mounting board. More about this in another video. I don't need to remove the steam tap, that's fine. I'm just giving the boiler a quick wipe over again to get rid of some water that splashed on it. I forgot to mention that the boiler was still full of water from the last run. I always drain the water from the boilers that I keep in the workshop because it can get very cold in there. But the last time I ran this steam plant it was on the kitchen table and the water's still where I left it. That's it for this video. I'd just like to wish you all the best of health. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my main Steam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.